trying to do the littlest amount of editing as possible, but anything.
Perfect. So I shouldn't stand up, so people shouldn't see my underwear, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you do, I'll cut it out. But
there's no need to cut that out, so I don't care, to be honest.
Maybe a lot of people would love to see that.
Of course.
So we're here with Chris Breetzi from Vokill Covers.
Oh, yeah.
The YouTube sensation. The YouTube sensation himself. How you doing, man?
Come on. Doing good, very good. Thank you very much for inviting me to this Zoom talk.
Absolutely. We've known each other for a long time now. I think we first talked to each other in 2009 or 2010.
2009 or 2010, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 2010. I was living in Texas at the time, and you were getting your YouTube channel started. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Actually, you were the reason I started doing vocals. So today my friend asked me, hey, with whom are you doing the podcast today? I said, hey, this guy's called Ryan Strain, and he's the reason why I'm doing vocals. So I'm happy to give something back to you. So
well, I appreciate that, man. I remember you said that recently, but I didn't know that up until recently that you had started.
You made this great tutorial about where you talked about fry screaming, and I remember you talked about it's about the car.
Yeah.
Was like I was standing in the elevator and I was like trying that out, and people were standing beside me and they were like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" It was very funny, very funny.
I wish I could have seen that. Oh man, yeah. I remember one of the first things I saw of yours was remember that old video that Big Chocolate did with that other dude? They did like that dual thing together in the studio, like that. I forget what it's called now. I wish I had looked it up before this, but
Disfiguring the Goddess.
Disfiguring the Goddess.
I think it was called. It was with Jonathan. Exactly. I'm a dinosaur.
Yeah, and you did a cover of that.
Yeah,
you did a cover of that, and I was really impressed because I can't do that shit. And I was watching you like, and I was like, oh shit.
Well, thank you very much. It was a really fascinating song back then because it had this. It was so fucking brutal. It was like Big Chocolate with this really ultra lows, and Jonathan Yuba has this kind of powerful lows.
That's the other guy.
And it was like Sodom and Gomorrah combined. Wow.
Yeah. I remember the exact timestamp in the video. There's a spot at exactly 1 minute and 40 seconds where they both. It gets quiet and then it comes into like this breakdown. They both at like the exact same time.
Exactly. It's so fucking brutal. Still to this day.
I need to go back and watch it now. It's been a long time.
Oh yeah, long time.
I need to watch your videos too, man. I haven't. There's a lot of your old videos that I haven't seen in a long time too. I need to go check them out.
I haven't been doing videos for like I think a year or something.
Yeah.
Because I had different topics in life I had to deal with. We're all getting like more adult topics. So, but music is still an important part of my life. So, what about you?
I dip my toe in many things. I try. Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm trying to do full time. I mean, I am doing it full time. There's not a lot of money coming in, but I'm trying to do all these little things that I can do. So, I'm giving lessons. I'm part of different projects. I'm working with all kinds of people right now. I got my band in Austria. I'm going to see you out there hopefully in May of next year.
Yes.
That'll be fun.
Yes.
Right now I'm working with a band in Finland where we have an album coming out probably in about 2 weeks. And our second album is already almost completely written. So.
Wow. Second album already.
Yeah,
wow.
We didn't even get the first one out yet. We're already
freaking fast.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
Curious.
Working on a lot of things. I'm just dipping my toe in all these different projects. That's the phrase I'm using today, is dipping my toe. I've never said that before, but that's what I'm saying today.
Nice. That's nice to hear, man. That's really cool.
So you have a channel called Vokill Covers. And I'm telling you that in case you don't know, you have you ever had a scream and growl video? It has almost a million views. It's almost there. Exactly, 918,000.
Exactly, yeah.
So
it's like if you're searching for how to growl or something, I should be on place 1 or 2 or 3.
You actually pop up all the time when I'm looking at other things, and then I see your face down there going.
Yeah, it's all those. Is the English word antics? I think
antics. Yeah. Antics. Sure, that's a good word for it.
I think that's a word. I think this is one of the main reasons. And the cool thing is, back then you haven't had the choice to put your own thumbnail into YouTube.
Oh yeah.
But YouTube always captured some kind of crazy antic of me, and well, it's cool for people to see this. Hey, who's this dumbass?
YouTube tends to do that. Whenever they give you like this pre-generated thumbnails, they always catch that face. I don't know how they do it. It's a computer doing it, but it catches that face.
Exactly. I think that's pretty much artificial intelligence. You can definitely recognize that. So, well, YouTube knows what they're doing, I guess. So,
and some people may argue with that, but I think they know exactly what they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. When it comes to artificial intelligence, when it comes to content creators, might be debatable. Definitely.
Yeah, as a business, they know exactly what they're doing.
Exactly.
But you know what? I'm grateful to YouTube. I mean, it's, I don't have a million views, but I mean, it's been the place where I've been able to put myself out there for the last decade, and people watch me and people watch you, and it's a place where people like us can get noticed. And before YouTube, what did we have?
Exactly.
There was nothing,
Exactly. And it's like, if we haven't had YouTube, we wouldn't sit here talking to each other. So
exactly,
you should be grateful for that. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the friends I've had, a lot of the cool contacts I've made are through YouTube. A lot of people, like personal life that I've been involved with, girlfriends and friends and things like that, are through YouTube.
Really?
I mean, they haven't all worked out, but it's not YouTube's fault.
Recently I stumbled about a lot of videos about philosophy. It's so fucking cool. So fucking cool, about Nietzsche, about Carl Gustav Jung, there's a YouTube channel called The School of Life, which is really, really cool. They basically show you really important personalities, and they bring it down to the point in 50 minutes, and they give you important life lessons. Really cool channel. Really cool.
So what's the name of it again?
School of Life.
School of Life. I have to check it out. That's right up my alley, because that's what I've been focusing a lot on the past couple of years, is philosophy. Listening to a lot of smart people. I think that's a good thing to do, is to listen to smart people. So I watch a lot of podcasts, a lot of scientists, a lot of philosophers, and philosophers of the modern day, and also from the 50s and 60s. There's a guy, Alan Watts. I don't know if you know who Alan Watts is.
Alan Watts is so great. I love him so much. Zen Buddhism. And his voice is so calming. It's so great. Love it.
It's so interesting to listen to, because people don't talk like that anymore. Like, I never hear anybody talk like that. But he has like this playful, he has this English accent, but he's very playful with his words. And it's very interesting to listen to. I mean, I guess that's why people liked him so much. I mean, that was his job, was just talking to people, writing books.
Because Alan Watts actually, he was a heavy smoker and heavy drinker, as far as I know. Would you actually say that philosophers, it's like heavy thinking, heavy drinking is always together?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a connection there, because philosophers that have that kind of mindset where we're supposed to just enjoy life. The point of life is to live. There is no meaning of life. The meaning of life is just to be alive. And so if you're going to be alive, you might as well do what you enjoy. And so, I mean, you can argue that part of living a good life is to also be healthy and to take care of yourself. But also having a good life is just doing the things that you enjoy. And I think some philosophers, they know that when you have some kind of vice or some kind of thing that you draw energy from, or that you feel good doing, even if it's not healthy for you, you're going to do it anyway. So you might as well do it without feeling guilty. That's my view on it.
Exactly.
I tell myself that all the time. There are things where I'm like, should I really do this? Should I really be doing this right now? And then I laugh at myself and I go, of course I'm going to do it. I love doing it. Of course I'm going to do it. I know it's bad for me.
Personally, think hedonism is completely okay. Just enjoy it without judging yourself. It's if you're not using it to escape reality. That's a completely different topic. Sometimes you want to flee from reality, but only for a night. That's totally fine. But if you're doing it for weeks, for months, for years even, then it gets dangerous.
Yeah.
But I'm totally on your side with, enjoy life.
Yeah, I mean, it comes in phases. I think I'm in that phase now where things have kind of taken a huge downturn in my personal life in the past couple of years, and there's a lot of things that I'm going through, a lot of personal struggles and pain and stuff like that. And so I'm kind of stuck in that place where it's like, there are things that I know that I could do to make it better, but I kind of just want to sit and smoke pot and just drink and not think about it for just like a while.
Yeah.
Like not forever, but just, I need that for like a little while. It's just kind of, it's like taking a painkiller or something, and it's just like numbing the pain a little bit. And it's a process, I think. You have to do it at your own speed. Everybody tells you what you have to do and when you have to do it, but it's all about how you feel and what works best for you, I think.
There's a really, really important concept from many philosophers. Nietzsche calls it the herd mentality. You gotta escape the herd mentality, and Jung calls it individuation. So becoming the one who you really are, which means you have to define for your own good, what are my morals, what are my values, what are my maxims. Which person do I want to be? And that's so important. But I want to ask you one question. I'm really curious because you said you had a really hard phase. What was your most important revelation in these times that you want to share?
Oh, see, you're throwing questions at me.
Well, I want to know that. I'm curious.
My most important revelation. I mean, there were a lot because I kind of had I don't want to say enlightenment because that sounds really pretentious, but I went through a phase where I completely transformed as a human being, and everything that I had believed, that I had grown up believing, and everything that I thought was true about me, I threw out the window because I realized that I could do that. I think it really started turning around. There are two people that I've listened to the most. I think the first that really triggered the change was Sam Harris. Do you know Sam Harris?
Yeah, of course. I know him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I would be concerned if you didn't know who Sam Harris was. Yeah. I mean, whether you like him or, people have a lot of shit to say about him, but because he's a thoughtful person, and when you're a thoughtful person and you have opinions that where you know what's going on both sides, you're going to piss people off on both sides because they want you to pick a side. He doesn't want to pick a side. Yeah. But he was doing a podcast with Joe Rogan. And this is the first time I'd heard him talk about the topic of free will and how free will is an illusion and all this stuff. And at first I was like, all right, it's really strange. I'd never heard anybody say that before. And I listened to him talk to Joe and try to get Joe to understand what he was saying. And Joe wasn't getting it. I don't know if you've ever seen that episode of that podcast, but he's trying to explain to him. Yeah. Okay. And Joe he never grasped it fully. But listening to it, I think that was good because Joe, because he wasn't grasping it, he was asking a lot of questions. He was asking a lot of questions that dumb people would ask. Like
he mimicked the audience, basically. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it gave Sam a really good chance to really define his argument, and I think that was a big moment for me when I started seeing things differently. Because I grew up, I don't know how you did, but I grew up in a religious family. I grew up under Christian teachings. Like when I was in school, from the time I was in 4th grade, I was actually homeschooled through a Christian curriculum. So I was going to church 3 times a week. Wow. But then I was also being taught under Christian curriculum. And this Christian curriculum told me that evolution was a lie and just all the things that you would expect it to say. And the earth is 8,000 years old, blah, blah, blah. And so that's what I grew up with, and then I grew up with...
And then you listen to Sam Harris. What the fuck?
And I grew up with a certain political view in our house that was very strong and very opinionated, and that's what got indoctrinated into me. and that's how I thought I had to be. So, I was told from the time I was young who I was and what I believed and what kind of person I was supposed to be and, what kind of God I was supposed to worship. And so to hear, to finally break through to that and open up my mind to different ways of thinking, because I always pushed that stuff away. I would hear Joe Rogan's podcast and I would hear these people come on and I'd be like, no, I can't listen to that. That's against what I believe. And I was one of those people that would dismiss certain scientists or free thinkers and, certain philosophers and stuff like that, because I just didn't know. I didn't know, and I thought I knew, and I didn't want my beliefs to be challenged. And then once I opened that up and I allowed myself to challenge my own beliefs, that's where things started taking a turn for the better, I think.
So beautiful. I just have goosebumps because I love to hear this, because I think one of the things that I really hate about this world is that people do not want to listen to other beliefs. It's like, I'm black, you're white, I'm brown, you're yellow. I don't know. And for me, it's all about, I want to hear. In Austria, we have some kind of idiom that says the truth lies in the middle ground. Somehow. And what I really love is you mentioned Sam Harris. Do you know Jordan Peterson?
Yes.
And they had a talk.
Oh yeah.
And they were throwing arguments against each other, but they were friendly and with mutual respect. And that's very important. And I'm also talking with a lot of guys, hey, they have different opinions about the pandemic, for example. Okay. So I'm very scientific. I'm very facts-based and everything. They have different opinions, but I want to listen to them. I want to listen to them because I want to listen to them, their concerns, because in my opinion, that's the only way how we can find a solution, if we listen to each other. Sometimes it gets a little bit, how can I say it? Annoying, but it's okay. I just try to remain calm and listen to each other. Very, very important. And that's really, really cool of you. So question your beliefs. That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's
scientific method. Scientific method.
It's tried and true. It's proven. It works.
Definitely.
It's served us well up until this point. I mean, we're talking over Zoom right now across the world.
Exactly. Across the world. It's great.
I think that's very important what you were saying, because, especially today, I don't want to get into the whole thing about, silencing people and canceling people. There's already enough people talking about that. But that's part of the danger, because if you don't open yourself up to what other people have to say, just because somebody says something to you doesn't mean you have to agree with it. Right? You can disagree. Absolutely, you can disagree.
Exactly. And you can even say, and that's what I really hate about this world is, nobody can admit that they're wrong as well. It's like when somebody says something to me makes total sense and it questions my opinion, I can say, hey, you're fucking right.
Yeah. Or not even accepting that you're wrong, but accepting the possibility that you could be wrong. I think that's also important.
Exactly. That's the start. That's even the start of accepting the possibility. Right. And it's like when I go into a conversation, I always actually, I have the presumption, I don't know if that's the word, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Always, it gives you this down to earth mentality. And that's very important for me in a talk. You can always learn from any person. It doesn't matter which education this person has. You can learn everything from each person, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Whether you agree or not, at least learning the different points of view that people have. Because, I mean, everybody thinks about everything just a little bit differently. There's always that something else that you can get from it that maybe you didn't think of yourself, and it may trigger a certain new way of thinking for yourself. I think that's very important.
Yeah, exactly. So getting into new ways, and you can only go new ways if you accept it. If you have this mentality of, hey, listen, just listen.
Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, if you're not listening and you're only talking, you're only saying what you know. So you're only sharing what you know. And so if you think you already know everything, then that's fine. But you're never going to learn anything else because you're not listening to what other people have to say. You're dismissing it immediately, and you're thinking, well, if they would just shut up and listen to me, they would know the truth. Because I know what I'm talking about. They're obviously wrong. I've never heard that viewpoint before, so therefore it's wrong.
Exactly.
You don't have to agree with somebody to listen to them and value their words, whether you believe them or not. Because there's something there. There's always something there. Unless somebody's being like blatantly racist and rude, then But even there are
always the exceptions, the straight exceptions. But also with racists, I don't believe in all this crap, but I want to listen to them and I want to understand their problems, because they're often deeper problems which are rooted in education, in
the environment, the way they were
parents,
raised.
everything. It's a very complex problem, and I even want to. I want to break through the iceberg and go through the bottom. Yeah. Show me your soul, basically.
Yeah. Where did this all start? You always hear the stories, and then you hear that one childhood story where you're like, oh, I get it now. Okay.
Yes,
that one little experience has stuck with you your whole life, and then you've been judging people like that person your whole life.
Exactly.
It happens a lot. People get stuck in that, and then if they never question it or they're not open to questioning it, then, they
hard.
Just go through life angry and upset and frustrated and confused.
Exactly. And I think, hey, this wouldn't be a life for me, going through life angry and upset. I mean, I'm also angry and upset, but I see life as a pure miracle. Sometimes it's fucking hard. Life hits you like a truck sometimes, but life is a pure miracle. And as you've said, life is meant to be lived. That's
the meaning of life, is to live.
That's it. Exactly.
Nobody said it was going to be easy.
Yes, definitely.
I wish it was, but I mean, we all have our struggles, and I think a lot about how hard my life is at times. But it's hard to lose your perspective on the state of the world as well, and who's way worse off than I am. And it's not to invalidate yourself. You don't want to invalidate yourself and judge your own feelings, but also it's good to have a healthy perspective on the world as well and not lose sight of it. But it's still hard. I mean, pain is pain.
Definitely.
Your emotions are just there. They tell you how to feel, and the worst thing you can do is fight against your own emotions. You just have to let them be there.
I just want to share a story right now, because you said this. Everybody's going through a hard time from time to time, and I was having a really hard time 3 months ago, and I just said, okay, it's fucking hard. I was fucking crying. I said, okay, now I just gotta meditate and see what happens. And I also had these problems with, feeling not good enough for anything. Everyone's better than me. And it was like I was practicing Zen meditation, and then this thought came into my head, like, everyone's pulling their weight. Everyone's fucking pulling their weight. And this is a thing that I have rationalized. I've grasped it in a rational manner, but at this point, it kind of go from ratio to emotion, and it got into my heart. I started crying, and it was so relieving. It was so fucking relieving. It was like before then it was like that, and afterwards it was like complete equilibrium. Really cool.
I like that. Yeah, that I kind of went through a similar thing where I had that realization that everybody's doing the best they can do with their situation. I mean, we may not agree that what somebody's doing is the best thing for them to be doing, but the only reason they're doing it is because they think that's what they need to be doing. And so it's when it goes back to that thing about Sam Harris talking about free will, because once you realize that people are not making every decision that they make, like a lot of people think, oh, I got to where I am because of my hard work and everything that I did, and then they get stuck in that mentality, and then they feel that way, that they are the driver of their entire life and they are in complete control. But then the dangerous thing about thinking that way is that when things go out of control, then you feel like it's your fault. I lost control of the situation.
Yeah.
But the illusion there is that you never had control to begin with. You felt like you did.
You never had control at the first place.
Yeah. So the real trick is letting go of control, and that's very difficult to let go of control. It's very difficult.
Completely difficult. Yesterday I was with my fitness trainer, and he's a big Sam Harris fan, and he told me about a podcast Sam Harris had with an expert for artificial intelligence.
Lex Fridman podcast.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like 2 or 3 hours. I haven't listened to it yet, but nevertheless, Sam Harris said, and that's the cool thing because Alan Watts is also much into Zen Buddhism. And Sam Harris also told this he kind of assumes that there's no self. Self is non-existent.
Right.
And Zen Buddhism says it's non-existent for 3, 4, 5,000 years. I don't know.
Yeah. It's not a new idea.
It's not a new idea, but it's so fascinating to kind of grasp. But you can't grasp this with your thoughts. It's somewhere, it transcends thinking for me. When I'm in meditation, it's somewhere into meditation, mostly about 12-30 minutes. There comes the point where you kind of, I don't know. It's so hard to describe in words, but you transcend a little bit, and that's so relieving. Doing nothing and being.
Yeah, and I do know that. I have meditated before, but I think about it all the time. Like, I should meditate more. And I never do, because it's really difficult to get myself to sit there and do nothing. And
exactly. It's very hard.
But the thing is, most of the time, I'm not doing anything anyway. I'm playing a video game, I'm watching YouTube videos, and then I think, I can't meditate because I'll be sitting there doing nothing. I'll be bored. But I'm bored anyway. I'm bored watching YouTube videos. I'm bored playing games. And I should be meditating more. But yeah, there is a feeling that you get. It happened to me one time. I was meditating on my couch. I was nice and comfortable. I smoked a couple joints. I had some like nice guided music playing, and I got to a point where I relaxed so well that I felt like I was a blob. Like I didn't even feel like a body anymore. I was like an aura, just like, brrr. And then I started feling a little nauseous, and I'm like, all right, I gotta get it. I don't know why I felt nauseous, but it made me sick to be in that place. But that was more of like a physical body thing. But as far as like a mental place, I think having the mindset of meditation is something you can carry with you throughout the day as well. I mean, it's just in any interaction. If you're at a bar and it's very loud and there's people talking, there's all kinds of things going on, all kinds of drama, you can put yourself in that place where you're sitting there and you hear the noise, but you're not paying attention to it. You don't have to pay attention to every single little thing and worry yourself and get anxious. But I have to remind myself of that sometimes, because I do have social anxiety, and it is something to fight through sometimes. But of
course,
meditation has helped with that as well. Yeah, is that something that you do regularly?
Cool.
Do you meditate regularly?
Yeah. Like each day, half an hour to an hour.
Yeah.
I totally understand you. It's very hard to sit down because I'm also like, I gotta do so much, and I have to do so much to be loved and everything. And but I had so much pain a few months back then that I said the only thing that can help me right now is something that transcends my thoughts and not my thoughts itself. It's like thoughts are cool, but it's only a tool. And there's eternal wisdom for me, lying somewhere behind thoughts, and it's so hard to describe with words. But I totally feel you that you can sit down. But I love to hear that this kind of mindfulness helps you in your daily life, because that's the absolute goal for me, is to bring meditation into daily life 24/7.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. That's something I want to try to do too. I think you just inspired me to start doing that. I think about doing that all the time. I'm like, in the mornings when I wake up, that should be the first thing I do. I should set myself up for the day by clearing my mind and getting to a nice calm place. And then I never do it. I wake up, I'm like, okay, I need coffee. I gotta take a shower. I want to listen to music. I want to do whatever I want to do. Or there's like chats waiting for me to reply on Facebook, and I start getting into that, and then I get caught doing things, and that I should be starting my day. I mean, there are a lot of things that I should be doing because I'm not doing a lot. I'm not working at the moment. I can't work. And I think about that all the time. I should be meditating. Like, I should be working out. I should be taking better care of myself, because I'm sitting here that I have all this time, and I just keep making excuses of why, oh, I was supposed to work out today, but now it's too late. I waited all day, and now it's midnight, and I can't work out now. I'll wake people up, so I'll start it another time. And I never get started.
Right, it's the same for me. It's the same for me, really. So it's like we're all equal. This is the best example for this, I think.
But what makes it easier is that I can laugh at myself, because I recognize that that's just me. That's just me being me. Yeah. And I laugh at myself. I'm like, well, of course I'm not going to do it now. I'm not ready to do it. I'm going to do it when I'm ready.
Because I think people tend to judge themselves too much about that. And if you treat it with kind of self-acceptance and loving about yourself, nevertheless bringing discipline in when it's needed, but it's all about balance again. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good way. Yeah, because you can never be perfect, and that's also not the goal of living.
That's something I struggled with for a long time too. I don't know if you remember this, but I sent you a message years ago. I don't remember what year it was. It might have been 2013 or something. I sent you a message because I had gone through some things, and I realized that I had lived in a very jealous place for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Because I remember that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's been a while now, and but I did go through a phase, because I had started out doing YouTube videos 2009, and things kind of, I had my hurdles, and I didn't really know what I was trying to do yet, but all I knew is that I wanted to be popular. That's what I've always been trying to. I wanted to get a lot of people to listen to what I'm doing, and it's really difficult to do that. But I remember after I got started, I started making friends with people that were also starting to do the same thing, like you, JTKV, who now sings for Era, and some other friends of mine, and I started seeing you guys blow past me and you were getting in bands, you were making your own music, and you were, making popular videos, and it was hard for me personally to deal with that at the time, because I was very jealous. I was very jealous of people like Jared Dines, and I saw Jared Dines blow up overnight. I had never heard of him before, and all of a sudden he was just this sensation. I was like, what the fuck? Come on. But like you said, I got to this place where I finally realized that everybody that's doing this is doing the best that they can do, and they're trying to make their own life, and they're trying to do their own thing, and I should be proud. I should be proud of everybody. I'm proud of you for your growing your channel so big, and doing everything that you've been doing, and talking to you now, and learning the kind of person that you are. I mean, we had never really talked before. I mean, I think we chatted a couple times years ago, but we haven't really had a conversation.
But what's a chat? Just text.
Exactly. You don't really know who you're talking to when you're doing that. But I mean, seeing people like you and JTKV, I mean, he's completely blown up. I mean, he's doing all kinds of things. I mean, he's in Era right now, and they're making incredible music videos and pumping out music and really good stuff. And I'm proud of him now. I mean, we don't talk anymore that often, and we kind of lost touch a little bit, but I love seeing what everybody's doing now. I love seeing these people that were doing covers when I started, and now they're off doing their own thing. You got Ian Bearer in Rings of Saturn. I don't know if he's still in Rings of Saturn, but seeing these guys...
Still in Rings of Saturn, yeah.
Okay, good, yeah.
Still, yeah.
Yeah, he's been doing that for a long time. I mean, he hopped in that band. That was his first band, I think he got in. He just stayed in that.
No, it was his second. He had the signs of... I don't know. But it was his second one, and then he jumped Rings of Saturn. Wow. I was also blown away.
So the first band I saw you in was Upon a Red Sky, is that right?
Exactly.
Okay, exactly. So how's that going? Is that still a project?
We quit Upon a Red Sky, I think, 2013, because we were going separate ways. Also, I was moving to Vienna. A few were at home, and it was like, do you know this feeling when something comes to an end and nobody wants to talk about it? And I said, hey, I think this is going to an end. And the other one was saying, okay. It's like your gut feeling. And this was perfect. And then, I had Killer Lycan still to this day. we also had a lot of changes in our lineups because apparently being a musician is not easy. It's not that easy.
Yeah,
And also
you're
it's
telling me.
like, of course, and musicians are always kind of, the genius and the madman combined.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes when you're writing music, it's like such deep things that you're giving away from yourself that, sometimes you're having some conflict, and you also have to grow in order to take care of the conflict in a band. But right now we are really happy. Corona was completely shit for us.
Yeah.
But as for any band, of course, as for any musician, but I'm really happy right now with the band. It's really cool dudes that I'm talking to as well on free days or something. And these are really cool friends. And I think that's a really good basis for making music.
Absolutely. Are you guys working on anything at the moment?
Right now, not. We were it's like we all had our personal hell in Corona. At least I had a personal hell. And we just said collectively, hey, our personal life is much more important. Let's focus on that. And we will continue the band nevertheless. And we are so stoked to play concerts again nevertheless. So
I'm looking forward to my first concert there in Vienna.
It was such a pity. It was such a pity. I was looking forward to seeing you in person. So
yeah. Corona really threw a wrench in that band as well, Chaos from the Masses, because those guys, they get together in person and they write together, and so I don't know the exact details. Yeah, Martin and Norbert and the other Martin. Both Martins.
Yeah.
That's actually what the project was called when they first reached out to me. They said, we're Martin and Martin.
Did you came in contact with Chaos for the Masses? I'm curious.
So 2015, it was right before my first album with Recode the Subliminal came out. And we were like just kind of finishing that album. And then I got a message on Facebook, and normally when I get messages from people asking me to work with them, it's just like, sometimes it's like incoherent. It's hard to like understand what they're saying, or it's a language barrier, or they ask me like, hey, can I send you a demo? I'm like, why didn't you just send it in the first place? Like, so these guys, they actually filmed a video to ask me to work with them, and it was like really silly. Like they were like Martin Proska, our drummer, he was like in the background, like wham, 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 like quacking like a duck, and they were just being funny. They were drinking. They were just really, really just chill. And that was something that I really picked up on, because I'm like, well, I know these guys are gonna be fun to work with. We're not gonna fight. We're not gonna argue. We're not gonna be annoyed with each other. Like, they're just fun guys to work with. It's so easygoing. I don't think there's ever been a time when I presented them with something that I wrote and they went, nah, that's not good enough, or nah, we don't like it. Like, it was, they're just very open to everything, and it's just been really easy and fun. And it wasn't always like that,
It was so funny when we were recording at Norbert's studio, and he said to me, hey, I've got this guy from YouTube and they're singing for it. That's fucking Ryan Strain. I know this guy. What? That's the reason I'm doing Vokill Covers. What? It was really funny when I counted this. Wow.
It is a small world, because what I'm seeing is now, after all these years of connecting with people, I'm starting to see all the people that I connected with now connecting with each other. And like, they're all working with each other. So I'm getting like the guy that does my art. So the guy that did my art for the 2 Recode the Subliminal albums, his name is Tully.
That's so great, by the way. That's so great.
He is great. He's amazing. And he keeps getting better too. He's been doing our lyric videos, and he's getting really good at that. But I worked with him with Recode, and then when I hooked up with this new project I'm doing with it's Enigmatic Entrance, which is really hard to say, out of Finland. He was like, yeah, I got this guy in Brazil that does my art, and he showed me, and I'm like, that's Tully. He's my guy. And when I found Tullius, he wasn't doing album art. I don't think he had done it before, but we found him on DeviantArt. I don't remember. I don't think it was me who found him. I think it was our other guitarist, Devil Sullivan, found him, and we asked him if he would be interested in doing album art. And now he's just doing that. He's doing that for some pretty big bands. Like there's a band in Chile named Delta that just came out with a new album. It's fantastic, and he did the cover art for that. And then I'm seeing the producer Norbert. I'm seeing him connected with all these bands and stuff. I've been doing live streams. I've been doing live streams where my fans come in and they share with me their music, and then I listen to it and react to it. And some of these bands are coming up, and I'm looking through the description. I see produced by Norbert Lietner, and I'm like, oh, that's my guy.
Yeah,
it's like a little community.
Norbert produced actually. He's taking care of mixing and mastering our stuff, and he's such a cool guy to work with. Really, I'm really, really thankful for him. He's so professional, also very calm, and he knows what he's doing. So really thankful for him. So.
Yeah, I've never really seen him get frustrated or stressed out or anything. He's very patient.
I've seen him frustrated and stressed out.
Okay.
If you're in the studio for a long time, especially with our drummer can be really about the little things. Can we make this again with this? And Norbert's like,
That's how we are, though. I mean, I
definitely.
I've always had problems with patience. So that's something I've always struggled with, is patience, especially when it comes to because I'm doing YouTube for so long and working on my own for so long. I've had the experience of, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do a cover of this song, and then the next day I would record it. It would take me a few hours. I'd mix it, do the video that night, and I would have it done that day, and I would get it out. And I couldn't stand having to wait another day or anything like that. So now when I'm making original music, and I recorded these vocal tracks, sent them off to Norbert or whoever is doing the production, and then 6 months later, I'm like, all right, I'm still waiting for that track. You gonna mix that song anytime soon? But when you're making music, it's a bigger collaborative effort. There's a lot of work involved, and especially somebody like Norbert, that's his job. He's a producer, so he's doing this all the time, and I can't imagine having to mix music constantly. I couldn't.
You have to be concentrated as well all the time, and I totally understand that. And it's very interesting because that you're also impatient, because I would consider myself as the most impatient man on earth. So I was in talk with our guitarist, and he told me, Chris, music takes time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're not going to finishing this today. We're going to make music. We're making art, and art is a process, and process takes time. And this is something that I had to learn the hard way, really the hard way. But it's very cool if you're recording something and then you're waiting a few days and then you're listening to it again, and then you actually realize, hey, that's shit, or that's really cool. Yeah. It gives you some fresh ears to listen to your own material, because you're blind. You're blind after 6-7 hours in the studio.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. And listening to coming back to it with fresh ears, and then you'll hear something that, okay, well, maybe I could do something better, or maybe I can add something here, and that's something I struggled with Recode the Subliminal, because it's a learning process. I'm still learning every day. I'm still getting better. I'm still trying to get to be a better writer and everything. But when I was making music with Recode, I had a lot of problems with being patient, because just like with Chaos for the Masses, our producer was also in the band. He's the guitarist. So when it came time to they would write the song, they'd have the demo ready, and then I would record my vocals for it, send them off. And I'm like, okay, well, when is this going to be mixed? When are you going to have it done? I want to hear it. I want to hear it right away. And if things weren't done when I wanted them to be done, I would get very frustrated. And then of course, that would frustrate my producer as well, because he would get really annoyed with not just me, but everybody else in the band too. Like, hey, how's that mixing coming along? And then a few days later, hey, man, we haven't heard from you in a while. How's that song coming along? And I can tell that it would be really frustrating for him, because towards the end of the mixing of the first album, I think he just kind of protested a little bit and was like, you know what, I'm just going to throw this out here. I'm not going to do any of the effects you guys wanted. It's just going to be raw, and you're going to deal with it. And it was 2 days before the album came out, and we're like, well, we have to deal with it. So that's it. But I get it. I mean, it's hard to remember that the people that you're working with are just human beings. they're not
Definitely.
they're not
Definitely.
there for you. They're there
Yeah.
as like it's a collaborative team effort. It's like a relationship. It's like having a relationship
Like a
with somebody.
relationship. I think that's the best word to describe it, to be honest.
It's teamwork.
So, Ryan, a question that I wanted to ask you is, what's your approach on writing vocals for a song?
That was my question to you.
Oh,
But yeah. Okay. So my approach, we might have the same thing. I think a lot of people do it this way where, see, as a vocalist, I don't have any other like musical skills. I can't play guitar or anything like that. So I rely on other people to write these songs for me. I don't know if you're in the same boat, if you play any other instruments, but yeah. So when a song is given to me, it's kind of like a blank canvas, but it's not really a blank canvas. It's more like a paint by numbers, because the song is there and it kind of tells me how to sing. You know, I'll listen to it a bunch of times and I'll start generating ideas, and like my natural flow over it is usually what ends up on the final track. Like I'll just kind of make up just gibberish. And that's what I've been doing. That's my writing process that I've been doing now for this next Enigmatic Entrance album. I'll go into my recording program. I use Reaper. I'll put the demo in there and I'll just riff over it and actually record my rough ideas. There's no words or anything. It's just gibberish, you know, just making noise.
so just the groove,
Just kind of the patterns
the
of what I
vocal
would
groove,
say.
yeah, the rhythm.
You know, skip it bop.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I sing the melody that I want to have, and I kind of plan out what harmonies it's going to have. But I have every syllable planned out. I know where all the words are going to be, what note I'm going to be singing, and then once I have that, I can listen back to it, and then I start applying words to it. So then I make the words fit, and then what I notice will happen is as I'm singing that gibberish, there will be some words that I will naturally just throw in there, and those words will end up becoming part of the song. You know, like most of the time when I'm writing a song, I don't even know what it's going to be about, or sometimes I don't even know what a song is about after I write it. You know, I kind of just put words down that sound good, and then when it's done, I read back and I'm like, hey, that makes sense. I like that. It's a good song.
The power of interpretation.
Yeah, exactly. So I think a lot of songs, I think about this a lot. I think a lot of songs write themselves. I think if you have a good team of people that know what they're doing and you come together and you're writing something, it kind of falls into place. It's like putting a puzzle together. And, you know, I mean, there are different ways it can turn out, obviously, but whoever you are and what you listen to and your influences, they influence how you write, and it's going to turn out a certain way. Like, I know that when I'm going into a song, I'm going to write in a certain style. I'm influenced by the vocalists that I listen to, and you know there are certain patterns that just immediately come up that just fit perfectly, and certain phrases, certain words, and they just catch, and the song kind of like writes itself. I try to not work as hard as I used to. I used to overthink it, and I would sit there and I would look at a blank notepad on the screen. I would think, okay, I don't know what to type. I don't have any words to type. But now I just start putting down words. I don't care what the words are. I just start typing something, and I can go back and change it. But just to start that flow and just get words onto the page really, really gets things moving, and it gets myself out of that mental block of I don't know what to say. If I just start saying something, just say something, and then you'll figure out what to say as you go along.
Very interesting.
What's your process like?
My approach is quite similar because me and my guitarist, we are writing vocals together because he's really good at grooves. He has this kind of hip hop groove, and hip hop is really cool for metal because it's all about the groove. And I think groove is way more important, at least when it comes to growling and screaming, than anything else, because you don't have the notes and everything. What we were doing is we were writing a song just with stupid nonsense words. We had the text. So hear me out, you human penetrated cow. Show me where is the sign.
Yeah.
And then we said, hey, it fucking grooves. Okay, so now we got to searching for words.
Yeah.
And then we fit those words into it. That's approach number one. But I also had these approaches where I was like sitting down, and I tend to drink whiskey and smoke a little bit when writing everything. And I have these words going through my head, and then I I hear the music, and as you have said, the music writes itself, and I hear this and I can imagine myself standing on stage, and I started to cry a little bit, and that's a good sign. For when lyrics are emotional, when I start to cry, it's a really, really good sign that I know that everything's right.
I'm so glad you said that. I thought I was unique in that, where as I'm writing a song, I always make myself cry. Like when I come up with like a good melody, or I'm writing a good lyric, and I start tearing up a little, I'm like, I know that this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Yeah.
It's so cool to hear that we have kind of same approaches, or similar approaches. Yeah.
It is good to hear, because, you know, I didn't learn this stuff from anybody. It's just something that I kind of learned on my own over the years by just doing it over and over and just figuring out what works and what doesn't. And then as I start listening to more people talk about their process, I just watched a video of Matt Hafey from Trivium, and it was a video of him writing a song on the spot for the channel Gear Gods. And he was doing exactly that. He would come up with some gibberish, you know, he'd come up with the melodies, come up with the pattern of the vocals, and then he'd go back later on and add the lyrics. And I'm like, that's exactly what I do. You know,
exactly.
I'm so glad to see that somebody else is doing that.
Cool.
Yeah.
I haven't seen much tutorials on this either. It's like everybody says, yeah, you're going to be a vocalist, but how do you actually write good music?
Right.
But I think that's such a subjective topic. It's everybody works different. Some people are like the rational approach, just put words in there. Others maybe like we do, more emotional, and you got to cry when writing lyrics, when writing a good song, which is totally fine. Yeah.
Something I've never been able to do is there are a lot of people that write their lyrics, and they just have a bunch of lyrics, and then when they're approached with a song, they make the words fit. And I'm like, you're a madman. I can't do that. I mean, I have done that once. I did that with one song. It was not with any band. It was just a one-off thing. Somebody else had written the lyrics, and I took them and made them fit. But I found that a lot more difficult. I think it's a lot easier to write to the song, in my opinion.
It's different for everybody, but it's this fundamental question: do you see it from this business process, like you have this done, hey, I put these words in, these words in, these words in, or do you see it from an art perspective and say, hey, I want to it's so hard to describe, like make it groovy and let it rest, and then work on it again, maybe overthrow everything and make it completely anew or something. There are a lot of different approaches in many bands that I've encountered. So people putting stuff out, but not in an artsy way to say. It's like just putting it out, which is art as well. So yeah, very interesting approaches from a lot of people, because we're all different.
Yeah, I think going back to what I was saying about not trying, I know it's kind of counterintuitive, but trying not to try too hard. Don't block yourself by trying too hard. Just let it flow, and just, you know, with time and with practice, with experience, you'll know what to do when the time comes, and you'll just put down what works, and you'll know what doesn't work, because you know what you like to listen to, and you know what you would like. You know, sometimes I think about, like, when I'm writing a song, I'm thinking about my influences. I'm thinking, okay, how would Jesse Leach write this song? You know, I hear a part that I'm like, this kind of sounds like a Kill Switch riff. What would Jesse Leach do here? Or what would Bjorn Strid do here? Or what would Anders Fridden do here? And then I kind of put myself in their mindset. I'm like, okay, so if I was Anders, what would I do right here? And that kind of helps me.
It's also so interesting. I'm always thinking, what would Architect or Ghost Inside do here? It's also, but it's very cool, because it triggers this method acting process a little bit. And if you're an empathetic person, you kind of get then in this mood, and then you start a groove, and all of a sudden, oh gosh, what have I written? Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. A lot of times I write stuff, and then I go back and I read it, or I sing along a bit with the song, and I'm like, I can't believe I just did that. I can't believe I wrote that. That came out of me. Yeah.
Nice.
Take a swig of my water.
So, do you have another? Will the concert take place in Vienna?
Yes.
Where you will be part of? Do you know when it will be?
Let me get up the exact date because I always forget. It's in May. I think it's May 15th. I should know this. Let me see. Because it's changed 3 times now, so
Yeah, of course.
we've had to cancel it so many times. It is May 14th of 2022, and
Perfect.
Vienna, Austria. And I don't know this place.
Szene Wien?
Yeah,
Scene.
Sinavine.
Exactly. It's a great venue. Great venue. Love to play there. You will like it.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's my first live show ever. I've never done anything like
Really?
this.
It's your
in
first
front of
live
people.
show?
Yeah, I've never played a live show. Yeah. And really,
Are
I've
you
only...
anxious?
Not really, no. I mean, not yet. I think I will be at the time. But, I don't know. I think I'm more comfortable doing my own music than I am, like... I mean, I've been kind of warming myself up. Because I had never really sung in front of people, too, until just a couple years ago. I did karaoke for the first time in public. And that was
Really?
frightening. It was frightening. I got up there with my friend Brandon from Across the Sun. And trying to remember the first song that I did that night. I think I did... Sound of Silence, maybe the Disturbed version, which is like, it's hard to do, like to do that in front of people.
So
I was
deep and
like, my legs were shaking, my hand is shaking. Like I still get that way, but it gets a little bit easier. But then I think that night that we did it, it was my first night doing karaoke, and it was also the anniversary of I think it was like the 2-year anniversary of Chester from Linkin Park passing away.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to do a tribute to him, so I got up there and I did Breaking the Habit. And I'm up there like screaming, like pouring my heart out, and it felt so good, man. It felt so good.
Nice.
Nobody knew what the fuck was going on, but I just put myself out there, and it was really fun. And
What were the reactions of the audience?
I mean, some people were blown away. There were a couple. I mean, it wasn't a very full bar, but the people that were there, they stopped what they were doing to watch, which was really cool.
Nice.
And my friend Brandon was literally sitting in a chair right in front of me, facing me, going, "Yeah, Ryan, yeah," like just a couple feet from me.
Cool.
And that was my first experience doing karaoke, and that was great because then me and him kind of took over because the guy that was running it was like, "Give it up for Ryan, that was amazing. Ryan, any songs you want to do, come up, you have the floor." Like, he just kind of let me and Brandon take over, and it was really fun. And lately, me and my dad have been playing together. There's a local bar here that we do open mic nights, and you know, it's been pretty cool because I grew up listening to my dad play guitar in his bedroom, like every once in a while, like on a weekend. He would never play when my mom was in the house because she didn't like it, so he would only play when she was out of the house. So I'd hear him in the bedroom playing like Pink Floyd songs and just a bunch of songs that I didn't know.
Was it acoustic or electric
Just acoustic.
guitar? Acoustic, yeah.
Just playing his acoustic guitar and just singing. And so I got to know some of these songs from him singing it, but I didn't know Pink Floyd at the time. And then we never did anything together, you know, because I got into making YouTube videos once I was an adult. I was, 18 or 19 years old. And I wasn't living with him at that point. I had moved out. I was living on my own, and we didn't really even see each other for about 11 years when I was living out on my own. And then just this past December, when my whole life fell apart and I was like, I need some place to go. So I moved back here to stay with him. And I saw on Facebook before I moved back that he was at a bar playing an open mic, and he was just going out singing. And it was great. Like, it was really cool to see my dad up there, like, performing. Like, he's got that performance in him, and he was just, like, up there. He had so much energy, and I was like, man, we got to do something together. This is going to be so fun. So we have a common interest in Pink Floyd. I kind of became a huge fan of Pink Floyd in the past couple of years, and I've been listening to them like crazy. And so there are like 3 or 4 songs that we do pretty much every week, the same 3 or 4 songs, just because those are like the only ones that we know together. But we don't share music, a lot of musical interests, but Pink Floyd is one that we do agree on, and there are a couple of other songs that we do as well. But it's really fun to get out there and perform in front of people. It's just something that I never really did before, but to have, especially at an open mic where it's one person after the other getting up, they do 3 or 4 songs, and you got some people up there and nobody pays attention. Everybody's just talking, everybody's drinking, nobody's paying attention to who's playing. But then when me and my dad get up there, everybody stops And the biggest comment that I get is that I'm very loud, because everybody gets up there, they're pretty quiet, they're kind of shy, but as soon as I get up there, the mic is right in front of my face. What? I'm like full going for it, and everybody stops and looks. Like as soon as I start singing, they're like, "What's going on over there?" And it's pretty cool. It's a good feeling. It's like it's very self-indulgent, but I mean that's part of being a musician, is letting yourself enjoy it. Letting yourself
Definitely.
enjoy it. Yeah.
And it's such a wholesome story. You
I'm glad you think so.
doing stuff with your dad on stage, and it's very nice to hear that. Because
Yeah.
I didn't know that you haven't had any life experience. Because you always, when I see you, it's also in the videos, you seem so. I can't wait to see you on stage.
That's what I'm
Really
looking forward
curious.
to. Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
curious, because you seem to have the energy.
Well, that's why I started doing YouTube videos in the first place. I started in February 2009 because I used to watch some vocal covers before I got started, and that's when I was like really developing my voice and everything, and trying to learn from other people. And all the vocal covers, like metal vocal covers that I saw of like the songs that I liked, Devil Wears Prada, and all the metalcore bands from that day.
Yeah.
All the vocal covers I saw were really lame. They were boring. Like it was somebody standing in front of a window and they were like a silhouette. You couldn't even see them. The camera quality was so bad. They didn't have a microphone. They were just like screaming into a comb or like a hairbrush, and like the sound was so bad. And they would forget the words. They wouldn't sing the right words. Or I would see people in the middle of the song pick up their phone and check it, like while the solo's playing.
Check the lyrics or something.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I'm like, there's not enough people putting care into these things. So I wanted to do, the first vocal cover that I did was kind of like a how-to. I was like, this is what I want to see. So, I mean, looking back at it now, the quality wasn't very good, but it's the best that I could do at the time. But I pre-recorded it. I took out my camera. I filmed a decent video. I put some like video effects on it. Like the stuff that I used to do.
I've seen that. It's always the zooming in everything and
the screen's
changing
always
colors and everything.
shaking
Yeah. Cool.
And having
I
something
remember
that
that.
was,
I actually remember that.
My first one was Brace Legs by Born of Osiris. That's the first cover I ever did.
Really?
Yeah, the first like real video that I ever put out was Brace Legs. And so I wanted to put on a performance. So like I jumped around and I acted like I was on stage. I'm like, this is what I want to see. I want to see energy. I want to see you like really putting yourself into it. And then once I did it one time, I was like, okay, that was fun. I want to do that more. So I started doing more videos, and then it just started catching on after that. But yeah, I mean, I haven't been on stage to do a metal song yet. I mean, the one time I did, I don't think it counts. It was,
Tell me.
do you remember my old friend, Miguel Garrido? We used to do covers together, like Devil Wears Prada covers.
Yes.
Yeah. He had an event at his high school. I don't remember what year this was, but he had an event at his high school, his Battle for the Bands. And he wanted to do a cover of a cover. It was, what's that band's name? I can't remember it now. They did a cover of a Pantera song, 5 Minutes Alone. It's like a deathcore band. I'm trying to remember the name of them now.
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, they had like a scandal where like the vocalist pretended like he got kidnapped or something. I know you know who they are.
Yeah, I know who they are.
I have to look it up. But anyway, it was a cover of their cover of 5 Minutes Alone by Pantera. So I didn't really know the song, but I learned it for that, and it was fun.
On a Burning Body.
Upon a Burning Body. That's exactly it.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So we did a cover of that, and it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a high school thing, and I was also I wasn't a very good person at that moment. 'Cause I don't know why I had such a big head. Like my performance was awful because I had planned to go out there and I wanted to do the same type of vocals that he did. That's like those deep fry screams, like tone fry screams.
Yeah.
And when I got out there, and as soon as I tried to do the first note, I choked and I couldn't get that sound out. So I fell back on like a false chord growl instead. So I was just like doing something easier. But then people were coming up to me afterwards going, "Oh, you're so good, man. You have such a great voice." And I was kind of being a dick about it. I was like, "Yeah, I know." I was being such a jerk. I think it was it was my own lack of confidence, and I was overcompensating.
Compensating, of course, but you know better now, and that's the thing that counts, in my opinion.
Absolutely, I'm a lot more humble now, but I'm also like too humble to the point where like I'm very critical of myself, and I will,
of course,
I will trash myself before anybody else trashes me. Because I'm like, I need to trash myself just in case somebody wants to trash me. That way,
so you're in control.
Exactly,
you're in control. You can trash yourself.
Trying to control the situation. Yeah, that's what we talked about. It's hard to let go of control.
Exactly. I think as a musician, you always have to have this balance, some kind of control and letting things go and accepting the imperfections.
Yeah, that's really important.
Not only as a musician, but also as a human being, I guess.
Yeah, because I hold myself to very high standards, and then when I feel like I'm not meeting those standards, then I get down on myself and I say, I'm terrible. I can't sing anything. I'm a terrible singer. You know, I try to sing along with these people who I consider to be the best singers. And I sing along with them, and I can sing 99% of the song, and then there's that one note that I can't sing, and I'm like, oh, I'm terrible. But I'm like, well, what about the other 99%? I need to remember that I can.
Exactly.
I'm just human.
It's a thing that I've realized. There's this quote called "Kill your idols." And there was this point in my musical career where I thought, hey, now I just want to do music for myself. You always had these idols, and my idol, Phil Bosman, of course, very, very big. And the point in my musical career, I realized, hey, it's no longer necessary to strive for anything. You can be you now. You are your musician, and this is like not literally, an analogy. Like kill your idols. You gotta be yourself now. You're gonna get an adult. You're gonna get major. It's very interesting.
Like that. I think that's something that I'm going through right now because with this album that's coming out, I finally got to work with Bjorn Strid, which was a big goal of mine. Yeah, we did a song together. It's actually out right now. You should go check it out. It's called Cold as the Night.
Really?
Featuring Bjorn Strid. But realizing once I started because when we started this album, it was supposed to be like a small EP demo. It was supposed to be 4 tracks. And then Timo, my guitarist that I'm working with, he messaged me one day and he's like, hey, I got Alex Landenberg, the drummer from Camelot and Syra. He's like, Alex Landenberg is going to drum on our song. Yeah. So I was like, okay, this is going to be something cool. So I had the idea to start reaching out to just anybody. Let's just make this a big collaborative effort. I wanted to reach out to every vocalist that I've ever looked up to and invite them to be a part of this thing. And it turned into a big album. And I sent so many messages out to so many different people. And I got a few of them back. So now I became good friends with Jake, the singer from Syra. We're doing a lot of things together now. He's a really good friend of mine now. He's like a brother to me. And then I got in contact with Bjorn. And a couple other people, Mikkel, who used to sing for Mercenary, I hooked up with him. But what I started realizing as I'm reaching out to these people is that these idols, these like vocal gods that I looked up to for years, are just human beings. They're just like me. They're just like you. They have their own personal lives. They have their own struggles. They have their own anxiety. They have their own worry. They're worrying about themselves. You know, and I would always like be offended if they didn't like want to listen to me or show me that respect. But I'm like, they're just another person. Like, why am I putting a higher standard on them than I'm putting on myself? Like, why do I expect more from them just because they're gods to me? But they're not. They're not gods to themselves. They're just another person, and they have their own gods that they look up to. You know, so it's just a cycle all the way down of just gods influencing gods. And we're all just people.
Exactly.
But then there were some situations, there were a couple of people that I reached out to that I had looked up to, and I don't know if I want to start naming names, but you know, there's one guy that I've looked up to for so many years, one of my biggest influences, and I got so disappointed because he was just a dick to me. And it was such a disappointing moment because I didn't expect him to be a dick to me. I thought that in my mind, I was like, I had earned this respect from him because I had been a fan for so long. I've been doing covers of his music, and I've been wanting to work with him. And I thought that he would be like, oh, absolutely, I want to work with you. But it was like the exact opposite.
Oh, gosh. But it's some kind of catharsis. It's like it puts this guy a little bit more down. in your mind, right?
Well, yeah, because I realize I don't absolutely need that. I don't need
Exactly, yeah.
the validation from these people. You know, like they're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
human beings, and you know, it's cool. It's definitely fun to work with people that I've looked up to, but I don't have to let it define my quality as well. You know, I'm still going to do what I'm going to do, and I don't necessarily need them, and I don't need to, I guess, seek their approval in any way. That's something I always want to do. I wanted to like get that approval from these people I've looked up to, and I can't expect that. You know, it's not guaranteed that the person you look up to is then gonna welcome you in. Oh, I'm so glad that you've seen me as a god for the last 10 years. Come, let me be your friend now. And that's, you know, you can't expect that to happen.
Yeah, approval is very dangerous because it puts you in a situation of, it can become a kind of addiction. You only have to measure yourself with yourself.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult because because society tells us to validate each other and to do this since we have been a child. So very hard, but we got to find a way around that because seeking approval is not good in the long run. Yeah. Also for you as an individual, because you want to be yourself and not somebody else's slave or something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's the problem. When you seek approval, when you don't get it, that's when you hurt. That's when it hurts the most, is when you were expecting approval and then you don't get it. So yeah, there's a balance there of you know, everybody says, you know, just make music for yourself. You're supposed to make music for yourself. You're supposed to do what you enjoy, but that's not always 100% the case. Because I mean, I feel like I don't always do it for myself because I'm also seeking to get heard. I mean, yeah, you can make music for yourself all day long, but if nobody's listening to it, then kind of what's the point?
What is your primary, that brings us to a really cool question. What is your primary motivation behind doing music for you? Why are you doing music? Why are you a singer?
I think I enjoy it. I mean, I say I enjoy it, but the process is very non-enjoyable sometimes. But I think I enjoy the non-enjoyable parts as well. I mean, because there's a lot of anxiety that goes into it. There's a lot of worry, a lot of self-judgment, and there's a lot of like, I don't know if this is going to be good. I don't know if people are going to like this, or, you know, even when something's done, I'll go back and listen to it and be like, oh, I should have done more here. I should have done better. Why did I think that was okay at the time? And I judge myself. And there's a lot of bad feelings that go into it, but all of that is part of the process, I think. And it keeps me motivated to try to do bigger and better each time. And I think everything that I do, there's a clear progression. You know, everything that I do gets a little bit better. I just learn a little bit more of how to write and how to create a song and how to translate what's in my head and actually make it show up in the final product. And you know, I don't know if I'll ever feel like I'm there. You know, I think it's always going to be a drive. And I think the trap of YouTube is the trap of YouTube is you get caught up in the numbers. You get caught up in the views and the comments, the likes, the subscribers, and all of that stuff. And that's something that I focused way too hard on for way too long, where every day I was checking my subscriber count. Okay, how many did I get yesterday? How many did I get today? And I kind of lost sight of things because I was focused on trying to get attention rather than actually work on myself and improve myself and be not only a better musician, but a better person, which translates into your art as well. You know, when you educate yourself and you become a smarter, better person and you think about the world differently, it goes into your art as well. And I don't know, right now, this is the reason I do it is because it's the only thing I can really do. I mean, I've been working on it for so long and I don't really have any other skills that I've worked on. This is it. Like, I'm betting everything on this.
But I'm very curious, Ryan. You told me it's a very hard process. You have this moments of desperation and everything.
No, I think I make it harder for myself. I make it harder than it needs to be.
Nevertheless, you said it's quite hard. What helps you to endure these phases? So what is the motivation behind it? You said you're going through this, and I'm so curious, what helps you to endure those phases of, I don't know, desperation, everything that you can imagine those feelings having as an artist?
There's a couple of things. I think that little moment of joy, like when you finally finish something, when there's a final product, whether it's a song that's coming out or it's an entire album or whatever it is, that little moment when you're able to like show it to people, when you're able to release it, and then people enjoy it. And for me, I am obsessed with music. I listen to music every chance that I get. Like when I wake up, I'm thinking about music. During the day, I have music on no matter what I'm doing. When I'm laying in bed, I'm thinking about music. Like any opportunity that I can get to put my headphones in and listen to something, I'm trying to take it. And music is very emotional for me. There are so many songs that I draw so much emotion from, and that's been going on for years. And like a lot of the songs that I've covered over the years have been songs that I've emotionally connected to, songs that either make me cry or they make me feel triumphant or whatever it is, and they make me feel a certain way. And all I'm trying to do is translate that feeling to somebody else, to then pass that on. I want somebody listening to me to feel the same way that I did listening to that music as well. So I think there's that emotional connection, is you're connecting emotionally with people, and that's really what I'm striving for. Like I said, I mean, you're supposed to make music for yourself and do what you enjoy, but it doesn't mean as much unless there's that emotional connection with somebody, with the listener. You know, like there has to be a listener for me to make it worth it. I don't
Beautiful.
I don't think I could be doing it for so long without anybody listening. Sometimes I feel like nobody's listening. Sometimes it feels that way. But that's just me being hard on myself. But yeah, I think that's really important, is that emotional connection. I want to make people feel the way that I feel when I listen to music. You know, I listen to Pink Floyd, like I was saying, I've been really into Pink Floyd. And I'll have a drink and I'll listen to Comfortably Numb, and I'll cry listening to David Gilmour play solo, because he just sings with that guitar. And I connect with it so much that I can listen to the same songs. I can listen to Devin Townsend songs, and I will cry to the same songs if I'm alone and I'm in a comfortable place, you know. And that's something that I want to recreate. I want to make that happen for somebody else. I want to make somebody feel the way that I feel and inspire them. And you know, so really it's kind of
Beautiful.
half for me, and it's also half for everybody else. You know, there's a balance there. It's not just for me. Yeah. What do you think about that? What about you? I mean, what's your motivation to do it?
I love that. Basically the same. It's when I'm doing song. The thing that I love most about concerts, playing live and everything, and people listening to my music is I had a lot of occasions where people were coming to me saying, "Hey, Chris, this song helped me through my hardest times. Thank you so much for that." And this is the best thing you can say to me. This is so... I tend to get over emotional then and say, hey, gosh, this is the thing why I'm doing this. I just want people not to feel alone. I think so many people feel alone and think, hey, I'm so alone in this fucking tunnel, I can't find out. And I just want to give people a glimpse of hope, a bit a light of the end of the tunnel with my music. And when people maybe read the lyrics and they say, hey, I'm not fucking alone. I'm not alone. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
This is why I'm doing music. This is the best thing.
Yeah. It's that's why I said it does hurt sometimes. It is hard. You know, there are a lot of emotions that go into it. I mean, when we're pouring ourselves out into this art form, and we're putting ourselves out there and hoping that somebody will pick up on it and resonate with what we're saying and feel connected to it like we do. And so there's a good moment there when people do, and you're like, yes, I reached somebody. And, you know, I have gotten those messages too about, you know, certain, especially Sea of Trees, when I used to do Sea of Trees. People have sent me messages, it saved my life. You know, I was in a dark place. I was feeling suicidal, and listening to this song, and you're not prepared for that really when you're starting out doing stuff like this. I wasn't prepared to ever be in a place where I would get those kind of messages, but now I'm getting to the point where I feel old because I have people that message me and say, hey, I used to listen to you when I was growing up, and I'm like, what? How old are you now? Wait, what happened? Yeah, there was I got connected with this girl that said that she used to write my name on her shoes when she was like 14 or 15. And it's really interesting to hear, because we don't always know who we touch too. I mean, we do
Exactly.
our videos, and we have our own anxieties about them and our own feelings about them, and we don't even know who's watching sometimes. And then you'll get a message from somebody and say, hey, for the last 10 years I've been watching your stuff and you inspired me and blah blah blah, and it's a good feeling. I mean, it feels good, and it's important to just kind of let yourself enjoy it and take it for what it is.
Beautiful. So a few days ago, I've watched Schindler's List.
Oh yeah.
And there's this beautiful saying in the end saying, if you save a single life, you save the world. And that probably has already happened with you, with me, maybe. And if that's the case, then it was totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Absolutely. I mean, that there's a reason why we continue to do it for very little monetary gain. Like, I don't make money doing this. I've barely made any money. I mean, it would be nice to be able to have money coming in from all this stuff, but I mean, that has never been my motivating factor. I've never thought about trying to make money. Like, my biggest driving factor has just been trying to reach as many people as possible. And it's been a frustrating thing trying to reach people, especially there's a lot of people that don't want to be reached. You're trying to reach out.
Of course.
There's a lot of people that are not interested, but then the people that are make it all worth it. And it's important to remember to be grateful for the people that are listening. And that's something I've struggled with too, is being upset that not enough people are listening and forgetting that there are people who are. And I should just be grateful to that, grateful for that.
Being thankful for the things that you have.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's not always easy.
Definitely.
Especially
hedonistic adaptation, I guess. So
yeah,
we all tend to take everything for granted after a while of having it. So that's programmed into our brain. So we always have to consciously remind ourselves to be grateful, which is a very hard task sometimes, as you said. Very, very hard. I'm just Googling for a word. I don't know the English word. The German word is Selbstverwirklichung.
Oh, yeah.
So self-actualization, self-fulfillment. Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, it's not only about helping other people, but also for self-fulfillment, of course.
Absolutely.
But I think that's definitely a good thing, because in my world, altruism does not exist. It's always and it's good that you're always looking for yourself and looking for the others. Mm-hmm. And I would even say 51% for you, 49% for the others, because you have to be healthy in order to help others. And
yeah, I mean, I see music as kind of like a therapy. It's cathartic because I don't get to talk with people very often that I can really connect to on a deep level. Like, I don't have people in my life that I can really talk to deeply and have good conversations with. Everything is very like surface level, just
bullshit.
Don't
you hate that?
And I hate that. And then if I try to say something deep, then it's like they just blow me off. Like, don't kill the mood here. So, but the best outlet for me has been writing songs. I mean, the second album that I'm writing now, it's like, it's very personal. It's dealing with my entire life, basically, from childhood up until now. Yeah. And it's I don't want to give too much away, but it's a lot about ego death, about killing the person that you thought you were your whole life, and then opening up to a whole new world of perspectives, and dealing with childhood trauma, and dealing with things that happen to you, and all the little things that leave scars, and they stick with you as your brain develops, as your body develops. They never go away. Those things are always there. And if you get hurt when you're a child, somebody hurts you emotionally, that stays with you forever. You can never make it good. You can deal with it in different ways, and you can find a way to cope, but it's always there. It's stuck in your brain.
Trauma.
Your brain never lets you forget. It's trauma, yeah. The body keeps the score, is what my therapist used to say. And so it's very cathartic to be able to write these songs and get out these deep issues, and then to have them resonate with somebody else is like the cherry on top. Like I do it to get
Definitely,
out these
yeah.
things, to say what I want to say. Like I just
Yeah.
want to say what I want to say, but then to have somebody listen to it and connect to it and understand what's going on, that's like, that makes it all worth it. That's like a bonus there. And that's
the
really
big
what keeps
present.
me going.
The cherry on the top, as you have said, the icing
Yeah.
on the cake.
Yeah, those little moments of joy when somebody's connecting to what you've done, or that's what really gets me going. You know, when I put out a new video or something, or I put out a new song, that day is like the best day. It's like a party day for me. I'm so happy to put something out. And then the next day I just drop back down again. I'm like, okay, back to regular life. It's over now. What's the next
It's all
thing?
a wave, I guess. So
Yeah,
you have the
just ride the
highs, you
wave.
have your downs. Just ride the wave, yeah.
Ride the wave.
But I totally relate to that with release days. Release days are so cool.
Yeah.
So great, and seeing all the reactions from people. Just before we were talking about the getting about the opinions of others, but this day it's give me your opinions. I want to have it. I want to collect it. Come on, give me.
Yeah.
So beautiful to see.
It is fun. I mean, that's why we do it, really. I mean, like you said, 51% for us, 49% for everybody else, you know?
Exactly.
I think where I get most frustrated is trying to connect with people that don't want to be connected with. You know, trying to get those people that are not interested and trying to make them interested, and that's just always been a struggle. You know, it's always been a problem in relationships. That's why a lot of my relationships have gone sour, is because I'm with somebody who doesn't care what I'm doing. You know, they're not supportive of it. They don't care. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want anything to do with it. And it's just like, well, that's me though. That's the only thing that I have. That's my whole. That's my whole persona.
It's you. Yeah.
And to not be able to connect with somebody like that, it's just you know, then I can frustrate myself and try to like make them, you know, please listen to it, please.
Yeah.
And it never worked out. It was always a fight, you know.
I can totally relate to that. Yeah, it's that's a different topic of finding a life partner who enjoys what you do. But that's also a bonus. I think the minimum must be acceptance and tolerance, and accepting you and your hobbies and everything that makes you.
Yeah. And not standing in the way, which is been another problem too. You know, try to record something and, oh, do you have to do that now? Or like, you know, that kind of like kills the whole mood.
Yeah,
you know,
that kills the mood. Definitely.
I get these bursts of motivation to do something, and then if I get any hint that what I'm doing is inconveniencing somebody else, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. It kills the mood for a long time, and it takes me a long time to get that nerve back up to then do it again, which is why I'm having trouble in this house. Like I said, I moved back here in December to stay with my dad, but it's not just my dad. I mean, my uncle lives here, my aunt lives here, my cousin lives here, all in this house.
Oh,
and
big
there's
house.
there's always somebody here. You know, I'm in my dad's bedroom right now. This is my dad's bedroom. So, I mean, I don't have, you know, I have a lot of opportunity that I could be recording things, but I have this in my head that if I start doing that, I'm going to inconvenience somebody. Because the few times I have done it in this house, then I go downstairs afterwards and I get those comments. You know, my uncle will look at me and he'll go, rah, 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 you know, like make fun of it. Or they'll say, oh, the neighbor lady came outside and she's like, oh, what is that? We were talking about you. And, you know, it's like, it always makes me feel more
guilty,
like, self-conscious, more guilty. Because then every time I do it, I'm thinking about, okay, who's listening to me right now? The neighbors can hear me. And I've never had that private space. I've never been to like a studio to record. I've always done it at home, and it's always been a struggle because I never had that private place where I could really like let loose and be loud. There's always been somebody there telling me, hey, that's too loud, you can't do that. Or hey, you're bothering me, or hey, it's taking too long, please hurry up. That's the worst thing for me, is how much longer are you going to be? Like, I don't know, I'm doing the song. Like, I don't know.
That is art.
As long as it takes. Yeah.
To build yourself a sound booth. So I have this one right there.
I did have one, yeah. Oh, not like that.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
That's amazing.
And nobody does hear anything.
That looks awesome.
It's great.
I would love to have
It was
something
a little
like
bit costly because it was from a Scandinavian company. But if you're building this yourself you need wood, you need a little bit of isolation, and that's it. This shit.
Yeah, I miss my booth. I had a booth when I was in Washington. It was like a full size booth, like like a closet size, and that was pretty nice. I mean, it was like 100 degrees in there at all times.
Yeah, of course,
but it was nice to have that space. You know, that's like the first time I ever had, you know, like a private place that I can go into. But I had to get rid of it after we moved because I couldn't take it. It was just this big, bulky thing. It was, you know, you can't move with that. You can't take a whole room and put it in your car. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I keep holding out hope for things to get bigger and better, and that's what keeps me going. Really, is, you know, I feel like I'm getting more opportunities now than I ever had, and you know, I'm just trying to ride the wave, like I said, just ride the wave and enjoy it with all of its ups and downs, and just live in it and be in the moment.
We haven't talked to each other. You already said that, but I don't know you, but you kind of seem like reformed a little bit. You seem like a different person in a positive way, in a really positive way. You seem like you're more, in the mood, in the moment. And that's what I really love to see. And I really enjoyed the conversation. It's cool.
Well, I mean, that's what I was talking about. You know, when I discovered Sam Harris and I started thinking about things differently, I mean, it really did transform my whole life. And it was not only that, but I mean, listening to scientists, listening to people explain different ways of thinking that I had never been exposed to before, because I was very sheltered from that way. Because I grew up in an environment where science was looked down upon. That's all the scientists in the world are in cahoots to disprove God. Like, they're all lying. Like, the whole scientific community is lying. You know, that's what I had that mindset for a long time. So I never trusted authority. I never trusted academics or intellectuals, or, you know, people who called themselves intellectuals, you know, people that were educated and scientists. And once I opened up and I let go of that and I just started listening, like we said, just listening to people. Another one was, there's this, he's kind of a TV scientist. His name just escaped me now.
Bill Nye?
No, not Bill Nye. Brian Cox. A guy named Brian Cox.
Brian Cox.
He's a English scientist, physicist, I believe. And he was on a podcast with Joe Rogan, and that's where things like really started taking off for me, because I didn't know anything about space. I didn't know anything about particles. I didn't know anything about any of that stuff. And listening to him describe these very complex things in a very like dumbed down way for me to understand. And he was talking about how much the scientific community actually knows and how much they don't know. And it opened up this whole new world for me, because I didn't know that the universe was 13.8 billion years old, according to the, you know, what they understand. And and learning about particles and what we're made of, and the energy of the universe, and what actually makes everything the way that it is. And then I started paying more attention to philosophy, because, you know, when you're only in science, you get very frustrated because science, they can't explain everything. So you get to a point where you're like, okay, well, I want to know more. So that's when you have to go to philosophy. So I think a lot about that stuff. I mean, every day I think about existence and why anything exists at all. Why is there something rather than nothing? You know, what started it all? What's outside of everything? You know, like those are the big questions. Does the universe go on forever? And if it doesn't go on forever, what's on the outside?
Exactly.
You know, big questions. But it's fun to think about that stuff. And thinking about those things really opened up my mind to. It actually changed who I am as a person. It made me a better person, because I realized how closed-minded I had been. And when you realize that everybody's just doing the best that they can, and nobody is like better than anybody else, we're all just here, we should all be supporting each other. This is like, as far as we know, life is rare. I mean, we don't see it anywhere. I mean, it could be everywhere in the universe, but for right now, all we know is that this is all we have, is this one planet with these beings on it. We don't even know how it got started. We don't know how that happened. And there are people fighting over the dumbest shit. There are people over wars over the dumbest shit. And I wish everybody could just come together and, realize what's going on. Like, nobody knows what's going on. That's the problem, is that so many people think they know what's going on. And so when you realize you don't know what the fuck is going on, it makes you think about everything differently. Because then you're open to all the possibilities. Like, I love thinking about all the possibilities instead of just what I think is
Doctor
true.
Strange like.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Rick and Morty like.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's some truth in that I think when you really get down to it, I don't see how some things could exist and other things couldn't. I think everything that's possible exists in some way.
Live in an infinite universe, then
everything exists.
Everything exists. So there's a universe, might probably be a universe where my name is called Ryan Strain and your name is called Chris Breetzi.
Yeah, well.
The universe is infinite, so yeah. And that's very fascinating.
Yeah, the thought of either one. I had a time where I was thinking about that. Like, either way, it's scary to think about an infinite universe. That's scary because it goes on forever. Like, how is that possible? But then if you think about the other way, a finite universe, that's even scarier, because I think if it's finite, that means there's an edge. So either way,
what is beyond the edge?
Yeah.
I even find the idea quite cool that we're living in a simulation.
Yeah.
I find that really cool because if you're going on into quantum physics, everything's like, you have those quantums like zeros and ones, the bits, and you have the speed of light, which is the speed that you can reach. That's it. So you have these constants, and I'm a programmer myself, so it kind of
it does feel very programmed.
From this perspective, it kind of seems quite cool, quite a cool thought.
Yeah.
Why not?
It is interesting to think about these things, and that's what really opens you up as a person, is not believing anything, not accepting anything as truth, but just taking in all of the possibilities and realizing how much we don't know and what is possible. And so it's fun to entertain that idea of a simulation. I don't think it's true, but it's fun to think about. It could possibly be true.
Use it as an inspiration or something, or as a starter for a deeper topic or something. Yeah.
And even if you say simulation, I mean, there's so many different possibilities of what that could mean. I mean, it could be a computer simulation. It could be a generic, like not a generic, what's the word? An organic simulation. It could be a real thing that we were planted here on Earth to simulate what it's like.
We could be in a body right now.
We could be in a body right now. Absolutely.
Could be in a body right now. If you're taking a look at the universe, the galaxies are looking like atoms.
Yeah.
Somehow. Or solar system looks like an atom.
Yeah, the Earth could just be another particle. We're just on a particle.
An electron cruising around the nucleus. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that our discussion is getting such philosophical. It's very cool.
That's what I was hoping. See, I didn't want this to be like a music podcast. I didn't want to get on here and ask a million questions about music. And I'm glad that we did talk about that. I do want to talk about that. But I was just hoping to let these conversations go where they go. So this is great. I'm glad that
this is cool.
I'm glad that we connect in that way. I wasn't expecting that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, because we don't really know each other.
We don't know each other.
So I didn't know.
Yeah.
But it's great to hear, because this is the stuff that I think about every day. I'm a junior philosopher, which means I just listen. Yeah, there you go.
Bump here, book.
Junior philosopher. Any chance that I get to look up at the sky at night, and just it trips me out. I look up at stuff. I had a moment one night I looked up and I saw Jupiter in the sky, and I was thinking about, there's nothing between me and Jupiter right now. I'm looking at it. The light from Jupiter's reaching my eyes. I feel like I could reach out and touch it. It's right there, but it's so far away. And it blows my mind that space is right there. Like, we think about space as this thing that's like in the sky, but like we're in it all the time. And what is it? Nobody knows what it is.
So fascinating. Have you ever thought about falling into Jupiter?
I have thought about falling into Jupiter. Absolutely. Yeah.
scary, falling into a black hole.
Neil deGrasse Tyson had a thing where he talked about what would happen. And I don't know if it was Jupiter, if it was Venus. I think they're both gassy planets. But if you were to fall into it, it's a big cloud, basically, with like a little core in the middle. But the atmosphere is so dense that you wouldn't even fall to the bottom of it. You would kind of get caught in the middle because you'd reach a point where the atmosphere is so thick that you just kind of get stuck.
You have okay.
I mean, of course, you would like burn up before you reach that point. You would completely vaporize. But if you were in some kind of suit that would protect you, you would reach a point where you would just get stuck and you would just float through the atmosphere.
Wow. 911.
Yeah.
I'm stuck in Jupiter.
Yeah. We'll be there in 9 months.
Yeah.
Hold your breath.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Hold your breath. Gosh.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And it's hard not to get frustrated when other people don't think about this stuff. I wish everybody thought about these things. It makes life a lot more fun for me, a lot more interesting.
A lot of philosophers said that the answer for life's darkest ways is art and philosophy. And I totally agree on that.
Art is my favorite thing. I don't care what kind of art it is. If there's anybody that puts themselves out there in any art form, whether it's painting or drawing or writing or making videos or making video games or whatever they do, I love it. I love seeing what people do.
They're passionate about something. It's so cool to see people being passionate about something, because that's the best thing you can give me as a person if you're passionate about something. Yeah. So cool to see people burning, their hearts bleeding, but they're continuing to do this because they love it.
Yeah, that's like I thought about that when because one thing I can't stand are people that brag about how hard they work, but they're working at something that is nothing. They're just working a job. It's like mindless, but they brag about it. You know, like you work in these, like the last job I had at the post office, our big supervisor would come in from Washington, D.C., and he would talk to us and he would say, "Oh, I've been here for 30 years and I've never taken a sick day." And I'm like, is that really something to brag about, that you've never taken a sick day? Like, you've never taken a day off? Like, you have kids. Like, don't you want to hang out with your kids one day and, take a vacation? Like, they brag about how little amount of time they've spent away from work. I haven't taken many vacations, or I've never taken a sick day. And I'm like, so you're just working hard at something that's not going to last. Nobody's going to remember you working at the post office.
You're working hard, yeah. Nobody's going to remember that.
Yeah, nobody's going to read a book one day and read about so-and-so from history who worked at the post office for 30 years without taking a sick day, I mean...
Yeah, it's the over-identification with work, I guess, because we live in a capitalist society, and work tends to be is important, definitely, but do you enjoy your work? And if I talk with people, I do not ask. I first do ask, what do you work? And then I ask, why do you do that? That's why I'm interested in what are the emotions behind that. Why do you want to do that?
Yeah, because I mean, even a job can be a form of art. I mean, if you care about what you're doing and you're doing something that you care about, that's an art form in itself. I mean, even if you're serving food, I mean, there are people that are passionate about serving food, or there are people that are passionate about working in law enforcement or as a lawyer or something, and that's an art form in itself. But there are certain jobs that people get because they have to get them, and you can get stuck sitting at a computer entering data, and you're not doing anything that's improving you as a person. You're just sitting there putting data in a computer, and that's what I was
work
doing.
And no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
that.
Exactly.
That's exactly the words, I guess, for these types of situations.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could get a regular job and make money, but it's just something that it's hard for me. I mean, at this point I can't, just because of my situation. But it's hard for me to keep those kind of jobs. Like the last job I worked at the post office for 5 years, and it was a great job. I was making a lot of money, but every day I was miserable because, I had all these things going on in my life that were really distracting to me, because my life is falling apart. And then I also had this music that I was striving to do, and I wanted to work on that. And to sit at a computer all day and just enter data, I was like, what am I doing? This is so stupid. I wish I was doing something else.
Is this
right
my
now.
life? Yeah.
Yeah. Is this what I want to do for the rest of my life, is sit here and enter data and then be one of those people that brags about it 20 years later. Oh, I've been at the post office 20 years and I've never done anything. Never done anything in my life. You know, and not to knock people that do that. I mean, some people, you have to do what you have to do, you know, if you have a family and support your family and everything. But
definitely.
You know, you have to find that balance. You know, that it's important to also be you and figure out who you are as a person and find that enjoyment. It's difficult. Everything's hard, man. Life is hard.
Definitely.
Everything about it is hard. There's no reason it should be easy, right?
In Austria, we have a saying, life is not a pony farm. A pony farm.
Oh, a pony farm. Yeah.
Pony farm. Yeah.
A pony farm, I mean, to me, a pony farm doesn't sound like fun. It sounds like a lot of work.
It's like about these small children riding on the ponies and having fun, only having fun. So I guess that's the analogy.
Yeah. Cotton candy and slushies and
Exactly, yeah. Drinking from the rivers, beer rivers or something. I don't know. Yep. Oh gosh, I need a beer.
That sounds pretty good. So how you doing, man? How you feeling about this conversation? You want to keep it going a little bit, or you got something to do?
I've got something to do, but we got a little bit of time left. You got some questions for me?
I don't know. I didn't really prepare. I didn't really want to prepare, so I don't have a lot of questions. I think we covered a lot more than I expected to talk about.
Definitely. It was such a cool conversation. So fluent and philosophical.
I do have a question for you, actually. This is something because I do have some singer questions regarding music that I want to ask everybody. So we covered a lot of that, like your process. And I'm glad we talked about that. But there is something that I've been thinking about lately that I don't know if I know I'm not alone in this feeling, but I've never talked to anybody about it. So I want to bring it up.
Yeah.
So I know you can connect with me on this, because as metal vocalists, there are a lot of things that we do with our voice that are very strange to people, you know, when we scream and growl and things like that. Have you ever struggled with kind of validating that as something that's a real art form in yourself? Like, do you see that as like something that, I don't know, I'm trying to put it into better words here, but sometimes I think about what I'm doing, like I'll write a song and I'm screaming, and I think about my screaming over it, and I think about, what is that really? What am I doing? Like, and I kind of compare, like when I sing, like clean singing, I'm more proud of that. Like I feel like that's more of an accomplishment. But then when I do screaming and growling, it kind of feels like a little bit lesser. But I shouldn't feel that way. I don't think, because it is a very intense thing. It's very difficult to do. But sometimes I think about it as like, I don't like sharing that as much with people. Like when they ask me what I do, I tell them I'm a singer, you know, because I don't want to say, oh, I scream and growl, because then they immediately like, oh, you know, and they kind of blow it off. But then I kind of put that on myself too. And I think about what I'm doing.
Okay.
And like if I do a song that's like all screaming and growling, I'm like, but what did I really do? I'm just making noise. Like it's just a noise coming out.
So for me in the beginning, it was like my parents were like shocked. I mean, I also come from a kind of rural part of Austria, and was kind of, what are you doing? What the fuck? And then my father built me in the attic. He built me a room where I can practice because I was so loud. But there was a point, and my father always said, yeah, you and your band and everything. Yeah. They were supportive, nevertheless, but they were all kind of, he and his band. And then there came
like my dad. When my dad talks to me, he goes, yeah, he does that raw stuff. And that's like the only thing he says about it.
Exactly.
Raw
Stuff. They were making fun out of it. Yeah. But then came a time with my band Upon Red Sky where we had some kind of winning stuff on band contests and getting gigs in Poland, Germany, and Czech Republic. And this was a turning point for my parents as well, because they realized he's doing it with so much passion and he's getting so much. They were also at a gig and they saw I was burning for it. There were a lot of people there, and this was a thing where my parents saw it from a different perspective. And when I'm talking with other people about my hobbies, about being in a metal band, I tend to describe it with so much passion that people tend to get very, very, very interested. Even if they do not listen to metal. It's like I have heard from a lot of people, hey, I've listened to your music. I wouldn't listen to that in my free time, but I kind of enjoyed it. And I feel like if people are feeling that you're burning for something, that you're an authentic person who burns for something, they tend to, you tend to spread this fire. And that's the cool thing. That's the quintessence here, right?
Yeah, I think that goes back to me kind of putting myself down before anybody else does. So when people ask me about it and they say, what kind of music do you do? I kind of like immediately retract, and I'm like, oh, mostly metal. And like, oh, so you do like that screaming stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I do that, but I also sing. And I try to like put that up there. Like, I also sing. I sing other genres as well. And I can sing this genre or whatever. But, I mostly do metal. And I try to not to talk about the screaming and growling as much because I feel like it's not as appreciated. But I think that's me putting myself down more, and I think I should embrace it because, it's what I do. I've been doing it for so long.
I tend to wow people. I just said I do screaming and growling, and then I'm giving them a presentation of the growling, and then they're so wowed, they're like shocked, and then say, I can sing too as well. Oh yeah. But I tend to shock them at first. That's I enjoy that a lot in conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, because sometimes when I'm writing a song, I'll have like a verse that's kind of a little bit basic, and I'll plan it out, and I know that I'm just going to scream for the whole verse. And then I'll go back and think, and I'm like, what am I really doing? Like, what is this? What is this sound that we're doing? Like, who started that? It started out in the 80s or whatever, but it's a lot of people do it, and they've been very successful doing it, and I think I just kind of put myself down more than I need to.
Exactly. It's a form of art.
Yeah, just like anything else.
It's a form of art.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to embrace it. Ride the wave.
Exactly.
You keep reminding me to ride the wave.
Ride the wave.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, this was great. I'm so glad that you came in here. This is the first podcast. It's going to be the first episode, so this was a good one. I'm so glad I finally got to talk to you. I think who better to talk to on my first episode than Chris Breetzi himself.
Thank you so much for your time, Ryan. It was really a conversation that I really enjoyed. Really cool.
I'm glad. Well, I want to keep up with what you're doing. So for anybody listening to this, tell them where to find you. What are you involved in? What are you doing?
Hey, my name is Chris Vokill Covers Breetzi. You can find my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Vokill Covers, and my band is called Kill the Lycan. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Good talking to you. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ryan. Goodbye.